We good to go?
Good to go.
Okay, can I get a motion to reconvene?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? We are back in session. We're going to start with the approval of minutes. April 1st, closed session. Councilman Fox absent. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Clerk, please read the roll.
Councilmember Fox?
Here.
No, he can't vote on it.
Abstain. Well, yes, to say abstain. yeah.
Abstain. Yeah.
Councilmember Mazachong? Here. Council President Oso?
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco?
Yes.
Councilmember Chohimuk?
Yes.
Councilmember Coletti?
Yes.
Okay, it is, the minutes from closed are approved. We're going to go to the initial public comment section. It's on the agenda only now, one per topic. And does anybody from the audience wish to be heard on the agenda? It's on the agenda. Yes, no? Yeah, it's on the agenda. Okay. So we will not do that. We're going to go to the budget amendment, which is 25117 resolution.
Discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. The councilwoman during the discussion had an issue to bring up, and we just skipped over to it quick. But
This
I
is,
do that.
I was thinking we would do that when we get to resolutions.
Whatever
Okay,
you want. just
I
let me
would
know.
see if you, it's my understanding you would like to make a proposal.
Right,
to
so
do it.
we'll
Why
do
wouldn't
it
we do that
just
during,
before- Okay,
why wouldn't
fine.
we do that then?
Very good.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go on the resolution amending the 2025 budget. Must be written full by the mayor or the CFO. I don't want to read it. CFO is going to have to read that. Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye? Okay, great. You're up.
Resolution 25-117, this is a resolution amending the 2025 budget. Whereas the introduction of the local municipal budget for the year 2025 is being on March 11, 2025, and whereas the public hearing on the budget was established April 15, 2025, and whereas it is desired to amend the approved budget, and whereas the proposed amendments to the budget as introduced have been advertised and made available to the public in accordance with state statutes, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Hillsdale, County of Bergen, that the following amendments to the introduced budget be made. In the current fund, general revenues, interest on investments and deposits from $640,695.87 to $633,214.87. Total Section A local revenue, $1,410,195.87 to $1,402,714.87. Watershed aid from $0 to $2,303. Total Section B state aid without offsetting appropriations, $1,194,142 to $1,196,445. Pistol range rental from $0 to $5,178. Total Section D shared service agreements offset with appropriations, $410,366.40 to $415,544.40. In the current fund, under general appropriations, Section A, operations within caps, first aid salary and wages from $0 to $145,000. Municipal court other expenses from $60,000 to $49,822. Total operations, item A within caps, $11,856,204.76 to $11,991,026.76. Total operations, including contingent within caps, $11,956,204.76 to $12,091,026.76. H1, total general appropriations for municipal purposes within caps, $13,298,572.41 to $13,433,394.41. A, operations excluded from caps, stormwater other expenses from $10,000 to $22,000. Total operations excluded from caps, $2,169,480.99 to $2,181,480.99.
Pistol range rental from $7,000 to $5,178. First aid per diem salaries and wages to $20,000 to $75,000. Total interlocal municipal service agreements from $732,926.95 to $586,104.95. Total operations excluded from caps, $2,979,587.67 to $2,844,765.67. H2, total general appropriations for municipal purposes excluded from caps, $4,897,427.59 to $4,762,605.59. And O, total general appropriations excluded from caps, $4,897,427.59 to $4,762,605.59. A hearing on the amended budget and tax resolution will be held at the Borough of Hillsdale Municipal Building on May 6, 2025, at 7:00 p.m. or as soon as possible, at which time and place objections to said amended budget and tax resolution for the year 2025 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested parties. Advertisement of the amended budget will be in the Bergen Record on Sunday, April 20th, 2025. This does not change the tax levy, does not change the total appropriations. It is just moving within line items within the budget, inside and outside cap.
Okay. Is there discussion? Anybody have any questions before we move to a vote? Okay, will the clerk please read the roll?
Councilmember Mazzacion? Yes. Council President Oso?
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco?
Yes.
Councilmember Chohimuk?
Yes.
Councilmember Coletti?
Yes.
Councilmember Fox?
Yes.
It passes. Okay. We're going to go on to correspondence. We had an email from Ms. D'Alessandro regarding the police chief dated March 26, 2025, received at 7:06, and it was read by a resident at the last meeting. Motion to accept it?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's accepted. We're going to go to the monthly professionals report. Let's start with the police department. The officer in charge, Lieutenant Woods.
Good evening. So we'll start off with, so it's going to be March 2025. Start off with community policing. So the police department conducted Cub Scouts Pinewood Derby. The DARE is ongoing in the schools. August 5th, we're going to be doing a national night out. If you please let everybody know, the town, we're going to publicize it pretty on a large scale, but it'll be on all social media and everything like that. Youth Academy is going to be in June. Same, it's going to be, I'll get the age groups for it. It's going to be the first week of June. That's going to take place at the high school and all other places around town. We're preparing for 5K at the farm. That's going to be June 8th. So moving down the list, traffic and patrol. Patrol responded to 717 calls for service in March, 164 motor vehicle stops, 17 motor vehicle accidents, 18 parking enforcement details, and 8 selective enforcement details. The Detective Bureau investigated 44 cases, closed 30 of them, 14 outstanding, and the Firearms Investigation Unit processed 10 investigations in total. And that'd be it. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for the officer in charge?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Lieutenant Woods, there's been some incidents of vandalism at Beechwood and Memorial recently. Do you have any, feel of what's going on there?
So we've had vandalism at those parks. It's an ongoing thing. I mean, it's happened multiple times, probably every year over the last couple of years. We haven't, one of the investigations is currently open for it. Narrowing it down as to who exactly it is difficult. Yeah.
We're trying to get a Wi-Fi at the parks so we can put cameras. We're in the process of that, too.
Yeah, because that was at the bathrooms at Beechwood and then the dugouts at Memorial, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, without camera footage over there, it's a little tough. But we've closed them in the past with identifying people, but this one's still open. Yep.
Anything else? Thank you. It is the Hillsdale Department of Public Works Interim Superintendent Barry Peterson. Sir.
Good evening, everyone. Bear with me, this one's going to be a little long. So we'll start with last month, Parks and Fields, the Centennial Field Complex, the Core Knickerbocker Fields At that point, we're still closed, as the field work was being completed, and they had some weather issues also, so it took a little longer. The Centennial Field, the soccer, that work is continuing to move along. All the other playing surfaces, restrooms are all open for the sports season. Borough Hall, plans are in the works to continue the updating of the outside planting beds, installation of railings out front, completion of the range roof repairs in the back. Presently, offices are being repaired, repairs are being made, painting, as well as downstairs in PD. Trees, the Arbor Day and shrub pickup and planting, it's all been coordinated with the nursery, the Environmental Commission, and Meadowbrook School. DPW will be picking up the plantings and trees for that event. We'll deliver them. We'll also dig the hole for the tree. Signs, traffic, street lights. We replaced the 2 LED crosswalk signs on Hillsdale Avenue by Yesler Way. Waiting for permission from the county to install, we had a request to install LED crosswalk signs at Kinnicamack and Washington Avenue. I don't want to put those up until I get okay from the county. Potholes, last month, we did about 10 tons of material for potholes, and we did some water diversion berms, particularly up at Centennial, to help keep the water from running out onto the baseball field by Cora. Roads, we're continuing our sewer maintenance program. We've done some stormwater basin repairs and rebuilds, with 2 of those being completed already. My staff, they're doing a fantastic job. I couldn't ask any more of them. They're going above and beyond what I've ever asked. More recently, Cherry Place, we have an issue there going back probably about 6 years with Waters and Bugsby and public service. I was out on site all day today with Colliers, Waters and Bugsby, and no PS today. They opened up all 7 test pits that were dug last year. Out of the 7, 3 of them, there was no damage to the 12-inch stormwater drain. 4 other test pits were opened up, revealed broken pipes, with the gas laterals being installed to the houses through the stormwater pipe. One was a 12-inch water pipe, drain pipe, and the other 3 are on a 10-inch water line, stormwater sewer line across Maple Avenue down by where Doug Frank lives on Cherry Place there. They'll be back tomorrow with PSE&G. They're going to remove their gas laterals, put them under the pipe. Pipe will be repaired. At the same time, they'll close the holes. They'll come back, jet it, clean, and once the settling is done, we're going to have Waters and Bugsby come back with the infrared machine to redo the patches. Centennial Field, the sod installation begins tomorrow, continue for about 3 days. The field will remain closed until Memorial Day. After Memorial Day, it'll be reopened for limited use. Working on getting some quotes for fence rental to keep people off of that. Until I can get that situated, I'm going to temporarily put snow fence up, but that's going to be an ongoing, I think, repair of people going through it.
Barry, that's just the soccer field.
Just the soccer field.
Baseball fields are open.
Baseball fields are open for practices only because that project isn't done yet. That's coming up next. The baseball, Core Knickerbocker, they're not completed. Contractor's waiting for some drier weather, the ground to dry up before he mixes in the field conditioner. So that those fields are open for practices only. The DPW is not grooming or maintaining those fields until the project is done. I don't want to create or be accused of creating any issues that would cause any problems down the line. That's all I have.
The
Any
ADA
questions?
ramps, the red ramps.
Oh, I have, I ordered 10 ADA mats for the crosswalks. I'm waiting for them to come in. As soon as they come in, the DPW will be taking up the old ones and installing the new ones. With Meadowbrook being the first, that's pretty bad off over there.
There's some cost savings there, Mayor. Usually, 10 of them will cost between $5,000 to $10,000 to replace if we were to have an outsider. So the DPW, they're doing it themselves.
About $1,700 materials, and then us.
And you cut them in size of it.
They come pre-cut. They can be mounted in wet concrete or drilled into the existing concrete and then attached with mollies, screws or mollies.
I'm glad we're doing that because I've sent a couple of emails over the last year to the borough administrator to alert him to the erosion that was happening in those mats. In fact, there's one today that I noticed on the corner of, I guess it's Piermont and Magnolia. That's a hazard. It's actually up, an inch or two. Anyone could trip over that and then sue the town or maybe the homeowner who's I don't know. I'm not sure what the legality is. Yeah, but I think regardless, you want to have you want to avoid people tripping on that stuff. So, and there was one right in front here on that, right over there, beyond that cherry tree. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Nick, you're not on the agenda, but if you've got something that you want to update us on.
No, I mean, I think Barry covered most of the minor things that are going on. He mentioned the sod is being installed starting tomorrow. It should be 3 days probably, so they should be finished by Friday. Other than that, I have no real updates from last week.
And that needs, what, 5 cuts or something?
Yeah, it's 5 cuts, so you figure about 1 cut a week. So that field can be opened on a limited basis. You don't want to go full-blown usage right away. I mean, ideally, you'd like to wait a full season to let everything set, but you need the field, so just the recommendation is to just try to limit the usage as much as possible.
Yeah, Nick, how's that field been performing after the rain that we've been getting? And
Very good.
You've been inspecting it, obviously, right?
Yeah. We've had inspectors out there regularly. I've stopped in a few times. There's no grass down yet, so obviously the grass helps improve that a lot. But even with no grass, it's drying out much quicker than it was
You notice
before.
material improvements?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Anybody any questions, other questions? Seeing none, let's move on to committee reports. We'll start at the end here. Councilman Rucco?
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Committee met April 9th. We discussed reasons for amending certain parts of the budget, which I think the CFO has gone through elaborately. Most of those changes were in reaction to comments made by the state, because this was a year where the state took the responsibility of reviewing the budget. Typically, it doesn't happen, but every so often, I think it's on a regular basis, every 3 or 4 years, the state gets involved. They made some comments to us, and he has made those changes. It has, as he's pointed out, there's no effect on the tax levy that's implied by the budget that's up for adoption.
John, can I just ask the CFO a quick question on that? Does that have any impact on what we should consider for 2026?
No, it's moved a couple items inside cap that were outside cap based upon how they treat shared services. So next year they'll already be out, inside cap, so there'll be no negative impact on next year's budget for that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We again reviewed during the meeting the 2025 capital budget to ensure that it met borough needs and not just wants. And finally, we discussed the importance of keeping the Memorial Field project to an anticipated expenditure level of approximately $5.8 million. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you. Councilwoman Trujillo?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Councilwoman Mazzachan.
I have nothing to report. Ambulance is meeting tonight. I'll get an update for the next meeting, and the Board of Ed meeting's on the 24th, so again, I'll have that for our next meeting.
Okay. Councilman Coletti?
Thank you, Mayor. One just quick invite from the Environmental Commission. The commission would like to formally invite the mayor and council to the Arbor Day tree planting ceremony at Meadowbrook School. That's on Friday, April 25th at 10 a.m. This will include trees plus other plant materials that have been donated by Victoria's Nursery. So again, that's Friday, April 25th at 10 a.m. Our next Environmental Commission meeting is Monday, April 21st. Regarding the Pascack Valley High School District, as you may have heard, our superintendent, Dr. Sarah Bellotti, is resigning effective June 30th, 2025. She will be the new superintendent of Eastern Camden County Regional School District. The official announcement was made to Pascack Hills and Pascack Valley students via an email about Bellotti's resignation on April 4th. The Board of Education officially addressed it in their consent agenda in April 7th meeting. Spoke with Dr. Bellotti, who echoed what was already published in the local press, in that she was leaving for an opportunity closer to home and her family. I also spoke with Jenny Varghese, who's the president of the Board of Education, and she stated that they are currently vetting their options. They are not sure if they're going to go with an acting, interim, or permanent placement at this point, and they're also vetting the consulting firms that will administrate the placement process. The next Board of Ed meeting is on Monday, April 28th, and that's a regular meeting, as well as their budget hearing. Okay, and no updates for the fire department.
Okay. Councilman Fox?
Nothing to report.
Council President Oso?
Yes. The Rec Commission will be hosting an Easter egg hunt on April 19th at Beechwood Park. 10:15 a.m. start time to start after T-ball and just before soccer clinics. And there will be a juggler, so just in case you were interested in going. A small group of us took a field trip to North Brunswick to see a new field at Sabella Park. It was equipped with a no-fill product for turf, referred to as Pivot, and it's manufactured by a company called Tenkati. The product presented very favorably, and it seems to be a great deal more environmentally friendly than the traditional artificial turf. It's got no rubber fill, so they promote it as no PFAS. Then emanates from the field itself. It's going to be critical that the Sports Association heads visit the field and evaluate its play. That decision shouldn't just be made by council, but it should be made by the governing body along with input from the various users that are out there. From the Office of Emergency Management. There was a new fire flood siren that was installed, and it is working. There's some additional work that will be needed to adjust voice quality for messaging as it relates to flooding, though. The money for the new lighting detection system has been approved, and a requisition is being created. They're waiting for a ship and install date. And then as far as your new tax bills that are being sent out, there's going to be a notice informing residents to sign up for rave alerts. It's a reverse 911, and it gives the people that sign up a notice of emergency situations. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Borough Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. At the next meeting, we will have a resolution to approve the following roads to be paved: Baylor Avenue from Ruckman to Kent, Cambridge Road from Arcadia Way to Kent Road, Saddle Ranch Lane from Hillsdale Avenue to Pascack Road, Colonial Village Drive from Parkview Drive to Clinton Avenue, Clinton Avenue from Colonial Village Drive to Broadway, Wormus Lane from Pascack Road to Stony Ridge Drive, Melville, Liberty, and Arcadia. Work on 4 Essential Avenue that is being built by United Way will resume shortly, as they have all their funding approved this morning, actually, from the state. And the work, I'm told, is expected to be completed by year-end this year. Finally, there are 2 resolutions on the agenda for tonight to hire part-time building inspectors. They are replacement for retiring inspectors, resolutions number 25-120 and 121. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We're going to move on to ordinances. We have the introduction of 2514, an ordinance amending Chapter 258, Storm Sewers of the Borough Code to create Article 4, privately owned salt storage. Be it resolved that ordinance 2514 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the mayor and council in the municipal building, 380 Hillsdale Avenue, Hillsdale, New Jersey, on May 6th, 2025 at 7 p.m., or as soon as thereafter, and at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Ridgewood News once, at least 1 week, prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction and of the time and place, when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
No discussion. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Councilmember Rucco?
Yes.
Councilmember Chohimuk?
Yes.
Councilmember Coletti?
Yes.
Councilmember Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazza
Yes.
Council President Oso?
Yes.
That first ordinance is passed. Okay, we're going into resolutions now, and I understand, Councilwoman Trujillo, you have something that you would like to speak about or offer up?
Yes. Yes.
Please, the floor is
So
yours.
I would like to put forth a motion for an alternate bid for the lights at Memorial Field.
And I'll second that.
Well, so do you want to elaborate? So you,
Second.
well, no,
You need a second?
Melissa's already seconded it, so
Oh, yes.
we've got it.
Sure, I mean, listen.
Would you like to speak on it?
Yes,
We could
Melissa
both
will
speak on it.
start.
ahead.
I can
Yes.
start, and then.
Okay.
So, I went back and I listened to our March 11th meeting, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear and that we're clear, just so we can move forward. But to me, it seemed like the main concern around the lights was the potential cost. So I don't know if that's accurate, or if the hesitation is just not wanting the lights in general because of the location. I guess, like I said, we just needed some clarity to move productively, because if cost is an issue, then I think it seems reasonable, as Mrs. Trujillo has said, to at least get an alternate bid. That way, we're working with real number and not assumptions, and we can make a better informed decision with real numbers in place, because everything we've been looking at has so far been estimates. I'm not
Right.
sure if you wanted to add to that.
Right, so when we had the last meeting and we have Resolution 25102, that resolution, we agreed, for example, to move forward and do an alternate bid for the coaches' boxes. And so by the same token, afterwards, we were thinking that we could have just as well moved forward with an alternate bid for the lights, so that we wouldn't be having a conversation of whether they were going to cost $30 or $33 or $50. It was like, guys, why don't we just get an alternate bid, and we'll find out what the actual cost would be, so that we would end up with two bids, one without lights and one with lights. And I think that would address, I think, the very pertinent conversation that took place at that last meeting that seemed to indicate that people, council members, were being fiscally responsible and not wanting to approve the lights because they thought that it was not something that we could afford going forward. And so we're trying to address that, or better yet, do like a due diligence, like to the residents, to say, hey, let's find out what is the real true cost of putting in lights, and then later we'll have these two actual options in front of us. This is the cost with lights, this is the cost without lights, and these are real numbers that will have been put forth through the bid package. And so
Right.
that is
So
what-
just to add to that, getting that alternate also really does, like, going back to what I said, it's the real-time pricing in today's market. We know the economy right now is fluctuating, there's tariffs, and material costs are always shifting. We really don't know what's feasible until we get the numbers in front. Look, it could come back really high, right? And it might be more, or it might be more reasonable than we expect, but if we don't have a clear picture, then how do we know, right? So, and going back to what you said, this is doing our due diligence, especially since the council was split on the decision the last time. And I wish it was something that we talked about at the time, like, hey, we are split. Maybe in this instance, we should have all together come up with this idea of getting the two bids. And I do think that we really owe it to the community to plan responsibly. That starts with having all the information up front, see what the numbers actually say, then decide from there. And like I said, really think it's important just to have that alternate bid. And, you know, per some of the conversations I've had, it will not delay the project timeline from what I hear, so it would be just adding that in there and having that insight.
So I don't know if that would be a conversation of, like, you know, if it has anything per se to do with the particular resolution that's on there tonight, that you could just simply, we could amend that if we, you know, to ask for the alternate bid, because that's what this resolution tonight is, to authorize Colliers to move forward to go ahead with this project and to prepare all the spec works and all the details that need to be done. And as the product of what they're doing is just simply prepare 2 bids. On this note, I would also just like to point out that I think that there's a discrepancy in this particular resolution tonight, because I think that the coach boxes were actually put into it, as opposed to, it was supposed to be an alternate bid for the coach box. According to the resolution that was passed last time, it said that the plan should include coach box, alternate bid, but in this project also now in the backup, it says 6 million instead of 5.8 million. So if you were going to do in accordance with what we did on the resolution, it should say 5.8 million, and it should have 2 bids, one with coach boxes and one without coach boxes, and that isn't what is here now. So that's another issue. So I'm just saying that right now, the way this is written, I think is incorrect, in line with the resolution that was passed on March 11th. And the second, I would like to correct that. And the second, I would like, as we said, to propose that this be modified to now include so it would be a 3rd bid, if you will.
Okay, so we have 2 separate items here.
Issues, yes.
2 issues, okay. Let's address the easier one first.
Easy, yes.
The easier one is the coaches boxes, I would
Yes.
assume?
Correct.
D.A. Gasali, do you have any?
Well, that's on a resolution. If we, pull that later on, we can do a more discussion and we'll explain that. I think the first issue was the lights or no lights for the second bid.
Motion and the second on the issue of adding.
Point of order.
Mayor,
Mr.
can I
Mayor,
just
point of
say-
order. We're discussing resolution. Point of order.
Can talk.
Point of order.
Yeah.
We're discussing 25-118, is that correct? Amending that?
No.
So what are we discussing at this point? We're at the point in the resolution on the consent agenda.
Right.
Are any of these to be pulled for, I hear discussion about the lights.
We haven't even gotten to the consent agenda items yet.
I don't know where to bring up this discussion. I was told it is at this moment in time that I should bring up my motion, which I did. So now I don't know where
But
it
he wants
fits
to add something
into the category of where it should go.
What
in
is the motion to
conversation.
do?
We would like to put forth a motion for an alternate bid for lights at Memorial Field. That's what we would like.
So a
That's
separate-
the motion.
So you don't want to amend what is now?
That's next.
Well,
That's separate.
That's, yeah, I don't know, is that how you would do it? I don't know if that's the
That's one.
mechanism.
Correct
The
me if I'm wrong, counsel,
mechanism.
but every member of council has the option to propose.
Here's what I think should happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't mix this in with 25-118. That's a consent agenda item. When we get to the consent agenda, if it's problematic in some way, I would suggest you pull it and discuss that problem.
Okay.
What I think you did, and then discussion can be held, is a motion was made to actually amend a prior resolution.
That's what I thought,
So
yeah.
let's keep it at that. That's
Okay.
the simpler path forward.
Correct, okay.
What I perceive is that a motion was made to amend a prior resolution which set forth the scope
Right.
of the bid and work on Memorial Field. You are now seeking to amend the scope of that bid.
From March.
I think that might be
Yes,
correct,
right.
what you're
No, that's
saying.
what you wanna
It's
do.
25102, which is the resolution from March
Correct.
11th that laid out the governing body, what we authorized the
Correct.
professionals
Right,
to
to
do.
go ahead.
Correct.
And,
So
yes, and,
my suggestion is, I think that's
Correct.
understood.
yes.
So the council always has the authority to introduce a resolution. We have certain ways we generally do it, but
This is fine for these purposes. Is there discussion among anybody else on council with respect to wanting to put out a bid
Well,
first for the lights?
I just want to be clear on something.
Yep.
Councilwoman Troy Muke mentioned that the budgetary restraints or constraints that we had with regards to the, moving forward with an expenditure of $1.4 million, right? But I also want to be clear that I am also empathetic to the neighborhood and the residents that came to the various meetings that we held, that I attended all of them, and the concerns that they voiced at those meetings about having lights in their neighborhood.
Yep.
I live next to a farm. I dealt with a lot of traffic for a couple of years, and I was more than happy when that stuff stopped.
Yep.
So, again, budget is a very big concern of mine, but it's also the neighborhood and the people that live around that park. And when you're weighing the utility of the lights versus the possible disruptions that you may have with regards to those homes that are not going to move, because kids are going to get older, they're going to move on, right? Those families that are going to be there are going to live there for 10, 20 years. And you know what? I was empathetic to that, and that's one of the reasons why I voiced my vote for not going forward with the lights, as long as the financial concerns that I have, being on the Finance Committee, knowing what's down the pipe in 2026, and the challenges that we're going to face with inflation and everything else that's going on, from a government standpoint. I just want to be clear on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to be heard on this?
Yeah, I mean, apart from the fact that we're doing it out of a normal parliamentary order.
Yep.
But
Understood.
I agree with what the councilman has said.
Okay.
The mayor and council already decided this matter, and they decided no lights. They decided it primarily on the basis of, out of respect for the immediate neighbors who would surround that field. Money was also an issue. Right? Our CFO has advised us to be extremely cautious about this, keeping the cost of the project down to $5.8 million. That does not include the lights. For us now to take up the matter of adding, even considering the addition of lights, to me it indicates a lack of transparency on the part of this body that will be seen as a reversal of what the council decided at a prior meeting. You know, the loudest advocates for lights were the football coaches. And, they're the smallest of the sports associations. They said over and over again that the project really has no value unless it has lights. Then at the meeting that we approved the project, they determined, well, no, it's okay. We can live with it without lights. All right, now I suspect that change of heart at the time was embraced in an effort to influence council members who were concerned about the impact of lights on the neighborhood and might not have otherwise voted for it. And I remain opposed to the addition of lights so as not to harm the quality of life of the neighborhood surrounding the project. And because, frankly, the football team has found and can continue to find practices and games at other venues.
Okay. So at this point, seeing that there's no other discussion on this, we should take a poll whether or not, let's be very specific about what we're asking here. In this instance,
I would like to answer, we're having a discussion, right? So,
I thought you had your piece, but go ahead.
I do think that, I'm not sure about the parliamentary
That's minor.
location
It's
where we
minor.
should have been discussing
We're
this.
going down this road, and we're going
My
to,
point
we're past it. We're
okay,
going on.
so my
past
point
it.
is that I don't think that there's anything wrong at all with asking for an amendment to a resolution that was passed in the past that has nothing to do with I think it's quite transparent.
Very
We're saying
transparent.
exactly what we seem to have walked away from here I seem to have walked away from that meeting, as probably so did Councilwoman Maza Chung, as well as other people that listened to the meeting, that somehow there was a big budgetary concern. And so we are trying to address that aspect of it. We're not discussing that if we do get this, we just want a bid. We want to see real dollars and cents, which when we see that, then we can eliminate the budgetary conversation. Then we can just talk about, hey, do you want lights in this neighborhood or don't you want lights in that neighborhood? Whereas right now, I think that people are saying, they're talking about the budget, but they're actually hiding behind the fact that they just don't want lights. And so I think that they should just say that in plain, simple English out loud, that they do not want to put lights on that field, even if they're free. That's, I think, what we're trying to understand.
Okay, so
Isn't that what we're trying to understand?
Well, it
'Cause
sounds
that's-
like, Clemente,
Yes.
you said that it's a quality of life thing.
Okay,
So
so
he doesn't want
we've been
lights.
down this road, so you're asking, I just want to make sure, you're asking to spend money
A quote. We want
as an amendment.
A bid.
To, well, but it costs money for them to do.
Yes, it does.
do
But
it.
this is the time to do it. It's
But
$5,000
even if it's not going to add time to it, it's going to cost money to do it. So you're asking whether or not we can spend the money to see whether or not lights, what the actual cost of lights would be.
Yes, the cost.
Okay,
That's all
so
we
that's
want. The
what she's
cost.
proposing here.
Correct. The cost.
Those who are in favor of this proposal will signify by an aye vote, and we're going to do a roll call. I'm saying if they're in favor of it, they'll say aye. If they're opposed to it, they will say nay. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Councilmember Trohimuk?
Yes.
Councilmember Coletti?
No.
Councilmember Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazatian?
Yes.
Council President Oso?
No.
Councilmember Rucco?
No.
And once again, we're tied. I will tell you that, I mean, we're going down a road here. I can go back and forth this 100 times. I'm not in favor of changing this up. I would really prefer if you guys could make this decision amongst yourself, because it shouldn't come down to this statement again, where we're exactly where we were 3 months ago. So I would vote against this, but I would hope that you guys could do this on your own and not put us in this position again, because I think it's becoming absurd at this point. So the vote would be no in that instance, to add it to it. So now but now there's a second component to there, which is
That's next.
So we'll pull the resolution for discussion.
okay, so we're going to pull 25-118, so now we're at 25-119 through 25-156 on the consent agenda.
I would like to pull 25-120 and 121, merely to ask a question. It's not that I'm opposed to it at this moment, but I would like to ask a question or two.
20, hold on a
This
second.
is
I
about
have
the
a pen with
hiring of
that.
the part-time building inspector and plumbing inspector.
So we would be discussing, Mayor, the consent agenda.
And 25, right, with the
Without
exclusion.
25-118,
120.
25-120, and
25-121.
25-121.
Okay, so that is, so the consent agenda is that agenda less 118, 120, 121. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Motion?
We have it, well, with motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
clerk please read the roll.
Councilmember Trohimuk?
Yes.
Councilmember Coletti?
Yes.
Councilmember Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazatian?
Yes.
Council President Oso?
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just do this actually, Councilman Rucco, before we do 118, because I think that's probably going to take a little bit more time. 25-120?
Yeah, on both 120 and 121, actually. I think it's imperative that we express publicly why this is needed. Does it represent an expansion of the structure of the building department, or is it to replace people? Can the borough administrator kindly address this?
Sure. I said in my report, those two resolutions were a replacement of retiring
Thank you.
officials.
Okay. So I'd like to do them all at once if we can. 25-118?
That's the one that needs.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that now. This is the issue of the 6
I'll
million.
I'll first move 25-118
Okay.
in order, and we need a second on this.
All right, well, no, we're going to move, well, can I get a motion for 25-120 and
Oh, yes, I can motion 25-120 and 121.
121? Second, please?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to 25-118.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so let's have some discussion on 25-118.
Well, it's a question in the actual resolution, it includes the coaches' boxes within the content of the resolution, and that isn't supposed to be the case according to Resolution 25-102
Right.
that was passed on March 11th. The coaches' boxes are supposed to be an alternate bid.
Okay.
And they're not. They're contained within the resolution.
So the
Yeah.
original one was to have a two-story high coach's box and press box, and then, so that was at the cost of almost $200,000. We still need the platform if we were to go later on and build it ourselves or have an alternate bid. So Nick, this would be just the platform. It's not the actual two-story box.
So we can certainly include the coaches' boxes as an alternate bid. That's not a
Yeah,
problem.
It's not, so as an alternate bid, yes, but not
Correct.
in.
Yeah.
So I just want to make clear, so we did the coach's box as an alternate bid, was that excluding the 5.8 that we had stuck to?
Yes,
So that would be over and above.
over the 5.8 million, so.
And
yeah.
as it's written now,
So this will be preparing the alternate bid, but not actually building it.
not approving it.
Right.
Okay, so that's what
So
we
we still need to.
And to be clear, the way that we structure the bid is still kind of to be determined. We can separate out as many alternates as we need to based on how we think the prices are going to fall. So nothing that we put right now as what we think is going to happen is necessarily set in stone. Obviously, the majority of the main items of construction would be part of the main bid, and then any ancillary items that we think maybe we want to do, maybe we don't want to do based on potential costs can be separated out as an alternate. It's not extra work for us. It's simple to do. It's just a matter of structuring the bid.
So there will be an alternate bid for the coach's box.
So
There's
the,
no $5.8 million or $6 million associated with this. It's telling them to put the bid specs together that will eventually determine what the costs are.
And what's that cost of the alternate bid?
we pick and choose at that point.
There is no
There's
cost.
there's nothing associated with the bid for the final cost of the project. You wouldn't want to do that. That would lead your applicant.
So there's no extra cost for the alternate bid for the coach boxes?
From a design standpoint, no. It's just a matter of how we structure the bid. It's already included in the
Say the
price.
same for the lights then?
but there
There,
is,
so the lights is separate because there are some design components involved in designing the foundations for the lights and geotechnical testing in order to place those foundations. So there is some additional design costs associated with that if we were to do it.
And there's no design cost for the coach boxes?
No. That we already included in the pricing.
So it is a cost, but it's already included in the price?
Yeah, it's a minor cost. It's basically just vendor coordination, going back and forth with different options in terms of, what coaches boxes are available. And
so in this letter, the backup attached to this, the first paragraph, it ends with, the current budget for the project is approximately $6 million. So I think we were at 5.8 million. The coaches' boxes were 200,000. So now 5.8 million has become 6 million because you put the coach boxes in there.
no, I think the wording on that is just slightly misleading. We're saying approximately 6 million is kind of like a rounding of 5.8. We're not saying that the project will cost 6 million because of coaches' boxes or not.
So you could revise it to 5.8.
Yeah, I mean, if the council wishes, we could revise the wording of that proposal to say the budget is approximately 5.8 million. We have no problem
I
with
would
that.
say that it is 5.8
We
million
can-
according to
Change. We can
what
amend.
it should
Yeah,
be.
we can amend
change
that. That's
that.
not an issue.
And the other question,
Now-
there was a question also on how much the actual cost of the conduit that we are going to put underneath the turf.
I thought that was 60 to 75,000.
No, it's about 50, no, the actual lines coming in. So we will have lines already installed for the walkway lights. To add the additional conduits, it's about 50 to 75 cents per foot, and there's approximately 5,000 feet. So it's less than $5,000 to add the additional wiring.
How much would it be?
Less than $5,000. It's
Oh, it's
50
only 5,000?
Yeah.
I thought you said 50 initially, 50,000.
It's
No.
50 cents to
50
75
cents
cents.
a foot.
All right, if it's, yeah, because I
5,000
raised
square
that
feet.
question, and if it was going to be something in the range of 50,000, I was not going to vote for
Yeah,
that.
no.
But if it's 5,000, I could see the positives to that.
Okay. Okay, so,
Well, also,
we,
one other item.
Yep.
So on 25118, back in the timeline, we still have in there late spring 2026 as the projected deadline. We need this project completed by April 1st. And this is why we decided the direction of the project back on March 11th, and we cannot lose any more ground. So I'd like to propose that struck and replaced with April 1st, 2026. And we also put April 1st, 2026 in the bid packets to force anyone who's bidding on this to comply with that.
Nick, is that possible?
I can't say.
Yeah, Nick, yeah, one of the things in your timeline, you had 150 days for design, right, which, I'm not an engineer, but seems a great length of time to get these working papers up. That would stretch our getting a shovel in the ground to like November.
Correct.
Where you're going to lose 2 key months of August and September. You know, I appreciate the concern for the lights. My concern is getting a playable field opened so that we can actually use it next year, and not that we lose the whole year because we have George White out of play, right? So my concern is, you know, the last couple of weeks, we've had rain events that have basically caused so many cancellations and rescheduling items where, you know, having an artificial turf field and getting a playable field in place is, for me, of the utmost importance, right? So we got to streamline that project timeline.
Why is it 150 days?
That's how long we think it will take to design.
Okay, you have no go-bys or
we can-
anything else that?
This-
well, wait a second, we can put whatever date we want in here.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, it's going to be what it's going to be. And as long as they're moving forward with it, they're making their best
There's no-
effort. If it
there's no
takes
latitude?
140
I mean-
days, it takes 140.
So when we say 150 days, we are saying that is kind of like a budgeted time. We will expedite where we can, and I think certainly if the council provides us with, if there's any questions along the way in terms of which direction to go, if we get quick responses on that, that's going to be critical to keeping this project moving forward as fast as possible. I don't think we're in a position right now to say for certain that we can do it faster, but we will streamline where possible.
So the way that we could do this, as soon as you authorize this, we will have a pre-con meeting and get a timeline and mandate April 1st, regardless of 150 days and 75 days. So there's lots of work to be done before they even design it. They have to do the geotech and for the retaining walls and for the soil. That's what will take time. While that's being done, there's some things that could be done simultaneously. And we put a mandate on April 1st. For April 1st, anyone who wants to bid on the project, that's our mandate. As far as quick decisions, I'm going to be your point of contact. If there's major decisions that I need the council to vote on, then it will delay it. Otherwise, we'll have that decision very quickly. I think we can put April 1st. And like the mayor said, if we have a rain event for 2 weeks, we can't do anything about that. But I would go with April 1st and then work on a timeline backwards.
And also, Mike, I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think the biggest
Well-
driver of the schedule on this is actually going to be construction, especially because we're talking about starting into the late fall, early winter months. So if we have a mild winter like we've had many years in the past, I mean, this last winter was not what I would consider mild, but probably 5 or 6 of the winters before that were. If we have another mild winter, they can make significant progress over those months. But obviously, everything construction related is weather dependent. There are certain things that are going to be out of our control in terms of schedule in those winter months.
Agreed, but
the
the
design
precedent
period.
you set up front is the deadline you need, not giving them a grace period beyond that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
And Mike, I also don't want to discount the need to make a selection on what turf we go with, right? Because that'll dictate whether or not we go through
Co-op.
the co-op or go to bid. Going to bid would add another 30 days to this
Yes.
process, right?
We have about a
Which-
month for that.
In which co-op. So the sports associations need to participate
Yes.
in these decisions, and they need to be available for these meetings to go ahead and see these sites.
We have about a month to make a decision whether you want the pivot with no filler or the ones with the rubber filler.
Again, we're showing a lot of concern for lights. I want to make sure we get the base field in place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's critical to
So
me.
we can put in whatever date, we can't afford for the act of God. We'll try to get it, April, we'll put it in there, and we'll work as best we can. We'll see what happens.
And on our end, we'll do everything we can to
Thank you.
expedite the design.
Okay, any more discussion? No? Okay, so, can we get a vote on 25-118?
Yep,
So
I have
are
a
you
motion
going
and a
to
second,
modify
so.
it? Is it going to get modified to remove, to change it to 5.8 million?
We can
and
change that, Nick
remove-
said he can change that language, and
Okay,
it's
and
still an alternate
remove
bid.
the coaches boxes and make an alternate bid.
Well, that's what it was anyway, right?
That's not-
It's an
Well,
alternate
where does
bid
it say
anyway,
that?
but it just, instead of,
This is only, if I may,
Go
again,
ahead.
this is only for design services. This doesn't say any of these things will be in the alternate column
Right,
or
that's
in
correct.
the mandatory column.
just change it from
This
6 to
is
5.8
just
in
design.
the language.
So they are going to design the coach's box, but when it comes time to put it in the bid document, you'll probably ask, but likely it will be in the alternate column unless changed.
Correct. Yep,
Potential.
unless told otherwise, yeah.
Right.
Right, okay. So we're going to go 25-118. He's going to change the language to, instead of 6 million to 5.8.
Correct.
And can the clerk please read the roll?
Councilmember Coletti?
Yes.
Councilmember Fox?
Yeah, I didn't see
Councilmember Mazachong?
Yes.
Council President Oso?
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco?
Yes.
Councilmember Chohimu?
Yes.
Okay, it's passed. We're going to move on to the public comment, limited to 3 minutes. Any subject you'd like to speak on? Would someone like to be heard? Please. Come on up, state your name and residence. Need some assistance? You good? You can have a seat if you prefer. You can have a seat here if you like. Come on up.
Kurt Walknow, 19 Hopkins Street in Hillsdale.
Okay, can you pull the microphone so we can make sure we hear you?
Kurt Walknow, 19 Hopkins Street in Hillsdale.
Welcome.
Okay, with this date of 1st of April, it's not gonna happen. I'm in construction. You gotta dig trenches 18 inches deep, right? The only way you can do it is if you bring quarry process in, because you're gonna have settlement. I can't see how you're gonna have this field ready by the 1st of April. Now, I don't know, because when we do, in the winter, we do sewers and stuff, we bring quarry process so there's no settlement. I don't know how they're gonna backfill these trenches and have it all done by the 1st of April with the weather. I
Yep.
mean, it's like now, we're stuck with this rain, we can't move on certain projects because you can't, so they're saying, oh no, we don't want to pay for the quarry process because it's more money. Then you got to get rid of the dirt. I'm just saying, how are they going to backfill all these trenches to stop settlement by the 1st of April?
We can't ask questions. We can just.
It's comment. It's your opportunity to comment to us. I'm not,
yeah.
we're not going to get back and forth.
So,
Okay.
how are they going to have this field ready by the 1st of April? I mean, it's bad enough we lost, that, but how are they going to get this field ready by the 1st of April? I mean, it's like now, we had all this rain.
Up till now, the delay is us. It's this governing body that's been delayed at the moment. So we're going as fast as we can at this point. So it's going to be what it's going to be, but continue.
So
Sorry
you're
to
saying it
interrupt.
might go past the 1st of April?
I can't speak for, so it could possibly. We're going to try. We're going to try to do the best we can.
And another thing, can this whole project be postponed until George White's field's gone?
That's not,
Not an option?
Not an option.
You can't postpone it?
Again, sir, this is
Yeah,
only
it's really
public
comment.
comment. It's not
Right, right.
really a question.
But it's just that I don't want to have them rush this field, right? And then in 6 months later, oh, say, we got a settlement here, we got a settlement here.
Then your comment is well taken.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to be heard?
I just don't want the chair to move.
There you go.
There you got it.
You got a good helper.
There you go. Thank you, Ms. Martin. You can choose to sit or stand, however you'd like.
I'll stand. So Chip Morrell, I'm in the process of buying a home here in Hillsdale, which is going to be right by Memorial Field. And so obviously trying to get abreast with all the information that's going on. I would say for the folks that are favoring lights, I grew up playing youth sports. I played them all. So there's everything that I did. I know for with the fields, it was always around field availability. And I think just by having turf alone, that's going to give you so many more options than you have today. I'd also say to all of you, right now, you're making do with the fields that you have, and adding turf, again, is an added benefit. And if you think about the lights right now, you think about that public utility. So I think you have the 30 homes around it. You're asking for the betterment of youth sports that they have the lights in their homes. And so, the question that I would pose to you, and I know this isn't question time, it's public comment. Think about it. If you, within solidarity of the neighborhood, would have us, come and drive and take our cars and put our brights within your homes and have that be for the same hours that you would have the youth sports, then yeah, go ahead and vote yes if you think that is. But, if you think about it yourself, if someone had lights within your house and flashing on there until, 10 o'clock at night, I think you would be a little remiss for that. And so I just encourage you, as you think about that, that's what you're having. That's the burden that you're putting on people in the neighborhood. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to Hillsdale. Anybody else like to comment? Who are you?
Kristen Martin, 219 Washington Ave. Just to start off, I talked to Barry already. I know this is not their responsibility, but just complaining. The trees at Memorial above the basketball court are dying and falling, so I'm just concerned about kids. Again, I don't have young kids, so it's just a concern of mine. Also asking again for the parking overnight to be considered, or how we can progress, how we can help to push this along. I do want to go back to the lights, because I thought this was done. It's very disappointing that this came back up when people weren't available to come or didn't know that this was potentially coming back at us. Again, we're kind of losing our men's softball, especially with the lack of now having George White or Memorial as options for the men. And I also just am confused at this point, and maybe I have to go back and listen to the past meetings. I thought 5.8 million was the maximum, and that the extra things like the box were if they didn't go in excess of the 5.8 million. So I'm not too sure what this potential $200,000, where that's coming from. So that's confusing me a little bit. So if we can just get something mapped out with what this maximum cost would be, because again, the lights would be another 1.5, the box would be another 200,000. So just if there's some place we can go to access that, that would be extremely helpful. Thanks again.
Thank you. Anybody else care to comment? Fabio? Nothing? Nothing tonight? Anybody? No? Okay, great. We're going to move on to council commentaries. I start this off. I'm just going to wish everybody, there's a bunch of holidays coming up this month. Happy everything. Limited. Those of you who celebrate, please enjoy. And thanks for everybody coming tonight. I'll move it on. Let's start at the far end. Councilman Coletti?
Just a reminder that the Fire Department Comedy Night is on Saturday, April 26th, and the Hillsdale Hawks are having a Texas Hold'em poker tournament on April 24th. Would like to wish a happy holiday to everyone as well. Thank you.
Great. Councilman Fox?
No comment.
Council President?
No comment.
Councilman Rucco?
Yeah, I noticed that we approved in the consent agenda the retirement agreement for the former chief.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say I'm greatly saddened by the circumstances that led to his retirement. Whenever an individual chooses to end a long and noteworthy career under unusual circumstances, there are questions, and that beg for answers. And like all council members, I read the December letter from the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office containing their investigative findings and their recommendations. And I believe then, I still do now, that the average fair-minded resident would take exception to those findings and would certainly disagree with the severity of the recommended action. Thus, I was hoping for an opportunity where more facts could be aired. A public hearing, as we know, in front of an appeals judge would have allowed that, but such hearings carry risk, various risks for the parties involved. for witnesses as well. And in the absence of a hearing, those risks are avoided. In the end, a settlement without a hearing is the route that Chief Smith chose, and that's his right, and it's not for me to question. However, I can opine or say that the ill effects of decisions made by employees and officials at the local, county, and state level who contributed to the outcome are going to persist for some time. They can't be denied, they can't be mitigated, and they'll weigh heavily on the shoulders of those who made those decisions. They did take an emotional and financial toll on this council, on the borough, on the chief himself, and on the residents. And this is the true tragedy of what's occurred, and it remains for the borough to leave no stone unturned in an effort to restore the reputation and the structural integrity of our police department.
Is that it? Councilwoman Trujillo?
No comment.
Councilwoman Mazachon?
I just want to take a moment to wish everyone in town a happy Easter and Passover. I hope it's filled with peace, love, and all the things that matter most.
Okay, normally you,
Yeah, just quickly, we're working on two ordinances, dogs on sports fields and overnight parking. So in the next couple of meetings, we will have that introduced for approvals.
okay, great. I forgot to wish you a happy vacation coming up.
Happy vacation.
I can't wait.
That's it. Okay, seeing no other business
Thank you.
here, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. The next meeting is Tuesday, May 6th in this chamber, beginning at 7 p.m. Thanks, everybody, for coming, and thanks for everybody